I want to start this post by saying that I am a regular lurker around these infidelity subs, and just today I made this throwaway account to get some advice. Also, since English is not my first language, there might be grammatical errors, so please excuse those. It has been over 6 months since D-Day, 5 months since divorce, and I still need some advice. I do not have enough time to tell my full story, but here is what I can tell you. Married 5 years, had a great sex life. We had made the choice to not have kids until we were both 35. I pretty much caught her having sex with her AP in our bedroom. I had been pretty clear about my views on infidelity right from when we started dating, and had told her very clearly that cheating was a complete no-no for me. I stayed calm throughout the entire ordeal. I asked her to get dressed. I called up her elder sister, who lived in a nearby town, and asked her to pick my wife up. I blocked her on all platforms and talked to my lawyer about the divorce proceedings. They drove back to my house the next day, and she immediately threw herself onto me and started crying profusely. She wanted me to give her a chance to explain herself, even though I did not really want to hear any of it, and my answer would still be divorce whether she cheated 100 times or just once. I sat down with her and asked her some questions. My first question was it an emotional affair or a physical one? She seemed to be stupefied for a good 5 or 6 seconds before tears started streaming down her face, and she whined about how I could even think she would have an emotional affair with someone else other than me, and swore it was a purely physical one. My second question was, were you unsatisfied in our marriage in any way? She claimed she wasn't. She was incredibly happy with both our sex life and our financial status. What was the reason then? I don't know, she said, and absolutely broke down. She got on her knees and said she feels disgusted with herself. She said she was going through a lot since she wasn't doing well in her job, and she wanted to validate her own importance in her mind. She often talked to me about her job too. I supported her wholeheartedly, and she was also going to therapy for it, even though I did not understand her reason. I did not poke much into it. How many times were you physically involved? She told me it was only 3 times of physical contact, and she had apparently never allowed him to kiss her. I don't know if that was supposed to make me feel better about it. With that, I was done. I told her that I wanted a divorce. Surprisingly, she did not say anything, just nodded and went to the guest room and locked herself up with her sister. 13. Unfortunately, though, before I could serve her the divorce papers, our district went into lockdown and travel between districts was prohibited. Thus, in an unfortunate turn of events, it seemed I would need to spend a full week with my wife in the same house, and I could not even file for divorce because the courts were closed. But I was not having that bullshit. I decided to move out and live in my neighbor's house instead, and that helped somewhat. I would still see her every day. Dark circles, swollen eyes, she looked nothing like before. One day, she got too drunk and I heard her shouting in her room, "I disgust you, don't I? You can't even look at my face." And she repeated that the whole night. Another day, I bumped into her talking to someone on the phone in the footpath in front of our house, and she immediately started freaking out and screamed I was not talking to him, I promise. It was just my colleague from work. A while later she seemed to realize her mistake and walked away without another word. A week later, they moved away, and I moved back into my house. I got done with the divorce about a month later. Bizarrely, she did not demand anything from me in the settlement. 6 months later, she would still text me and call me sometimes. She once drove over 50 miles to see me when I was ill with COVID. I have not been doing very well. I do still love her. The way she was truly mournful of her mistakes sometimes almost made me feel for her again. But on other times I just want to cut her off completely and start afresh. I am not sure if I would be able to love or marry again, but I did get along with a few hookups in the last 2 weeks or so, and to be honest, it does feel better somewhat. I do not know if I can move on if we keep talking. I have told her not to talk to me, but she does not listen. Should I just block her everywhere? I really do not want to hurt her, but she has not left me any option. What should I do? Don't think I can ever forgive myself. I've been with my husband for almost 10 years. We've been through our ups and downs like any normal couple. Last Friday I fucked up. I went to a bar with some coworkers, got incredibly drunk, and slept with a guy I met that night. Husband found out the next morning and confronted me. Initially I denied it but ended up confessing. He contemplated leaving but ultimately decided to stay. We've had an open marriage in the past and he hasn't been perfect, not that it's any type of excuse for my actions. Our sex life had drastically died down. He would beg for it and I would oblige once a week at most. It's not that I don't love him. I love him more than anything in the world. It was just a bunch of different things. I had put on some weight during our marriage and he voiced that he didn't find me as physically attractive any longer. He began working out and getting in shape, and out of laziness and just bad self-esteem I never stuck with it. I didn't feel attractive or desirable to him any longer and thus never felt comfortable being intimate. The guy I slept with made me feel beautiful and sexy, and it had been years since I felt that. I'm not excusing my behavior. What I did was terrible and I feel completely terrible because of it. Because of our unique situation with being open, the sex itself wasn't what hurt him. He said the betrayal to him was I was willing to give myself to someone I didn't know when I knew how much he was desperate for it. He states he has completely forgiven me and wants to move past this. I am incredibly lucky and thankful to him for it. The thing is, I don't think I can ever forgive myself. I promised to work on myself to make him and me happy. I just feel like the worst human being ever. I can't eat or sleep. I began self-harming again, which I haven't done for years. I don't feel worthy to be in his presence. I've seriously contemplated suicide. I can't forgive myself for this. This is the only time I've ever been unfaithful in any relationship I've ever been in. I feel so fucking awful that I did this to him and would give anything to go back and fix it, but I can't. I want our marriage to work, but I don't know how I can become the better person for him when I can't even look in a mirror. I hate myself for what I've done. I don't deserve to live. I don't deserve him. Even if we stay together, I don't think I'll ever allow myself to be fully happy again. The guilt of my actions is going to stay with me, and I genuinely don't know how to forgive myself. Looking for any advice.